Welcome back to the Unquestioned podcast with Debaere and Willem Himpe. And today we have an amazing episode for you ready. But first of all, Louis, I would like to start with a big cold opening because this morning we did something special, a cold plunge. And I wanted to know, how was that experience for you? I screamed a lot like a little girl, but you were very calm. But how was it?
Oh, it was so great. We went into a local lake, I suppose. And it was like, 5 degrees Celsius in the water early in the morning when it was, 2-3 degrees outside. It felt so great. It's just to relax in the water, and once you're out the water, you just feel amazing.
Yeah, it's why we were taking off our clothes, and immediately everyone get like that little bit of an adrenaline kick from we're gonna get in.
Yeah.
And then you and my intern Alexander got straight in, and I didn't want to be the little bitch behind, so I came a little bit later after. But then as well, you saw everyone getting in kind of this trance of focusing on the breathing, and getting like acceptance of the cold, and pushing it through. And I would want to ask you, because you as well take every morning a very cold shower, what is the difference then between immersing your whole body into this public water, that was 5-6 degrees Celsius, instead of then having constantly a stream of water in the shower coming at you?
Yeah, the cold plunge in a lake or in a bathtub filled with water is better, because when you're in the shower, you only have so much that you could cover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either have cold water on your chest or your back or your shoulders, so you keep moving around and you keep feeling the cold, because the rest of your body heats up again. But if you're submerged in the water, if it's only water, then there's no other way for you than to relax and for your body to accept, hey, we're in the water, time to go into that primal state. Trying to relax, for the breathing to lower, the heart rate to lower, and you just feel reborn afterwards.
Listen, and as well, after it, you had a lot of energy, me as well.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
I can recommend it to everyone as well. Don't do it alone, because it's dangerous. You could get, if you have a weak heart or other stuff, we don't want...
Or if you're a pussy.
No.
Make sure somebody catches it on camera.
Then at least you have a good viral video when you go out. Okay, that was a joke, just to disclose. But okay, well, that was our cold opening, so I would say let's get straight into the episode. We actually here in Ghent, there's called a watersportbaan, so where a lot of rowers train to go to the Olympics and so on. And we did a cold plunge, right? Where currently the water has, I think, 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. Yep. So how was that experience? Because I didn't enjoy it as much as you probably.
Amazing. I would have stayed in the water longer if it wasn't for my fingers. But my toes were a bit frozen, but overall my body just felt warm in the water.
Afterward? Oh, in the water?
In the water. It's like,
I think
so much better even than before you went into the water, is in the water, and when you get out.
I think your body is at first initial shock, and then after a while your body gets used to it, and then maybe it starts feeling those feelings you're describing. But I saw you as well shiver in the beginning, so I don't think it was that warm.
Before going in, it's better once you're in.
Okay. Well, and I want to know, what is the difference between really being in kind of an open lake or water stream instead of just having a cold shower? Is it an extreme difference?
The lake or a tub is easier, because in the shower you feel the stream, and it's not on your whole body, so you have to switch between your chest, your back, and your shoulders, and the other parts of your body get time to heat up again. So it feels colder. But if you're submerged, then there's nothing to think about. To just focus on your breathing.
True.
Relax.
And there's as well one thing I read is because if you, for example, in a cold tub, an ice tub, how you say it, ice
bath,
an ice bath, you actually, when you stay very still, there's like a thermal layer on top of your skin because your skin is still warm, and it creates like this layer that feels still warm. And if you in open water and there's constantly circulation, or in a shower, for example, that layer constantly gets
I believe that.
destructed, so you constantly get a new kick off that initial cold.
Exactly, but I still enjoy both.
Voilà, perfect. And I would say from the cold opening, let's go to the coldest man in B2B SaaS. His name is David Sachs. And I would say let's talk about his tweet, because he had a very interesting tweet. And what it said is, in 10 years, virtually all business meetings in a company will be recorded, transcribed, and fed into an AI as co-pilot for the CEO. An AI as co-pilot is like ChatGPT for people that don't know this one. Co-pilot is something specific for programmers to generate code. So Louis, maybe you can kick it off. What does he exactly mean by that within 10 years? Why is this valuable? And so on.
Yeah, let's unpack this. David Sachs was a co-founder of PayPal. He's been in the Silicon Valley scene for a while, and he's really the king of software as a service startups, so subscription services for businesses. And he's had his eye on the ball on regular software, traditional software, and now he's getting more and more pitches and startups that work with large language models, so ChatGPT and the like. And he said that in 10 years, all meetings will be somehow recorded, so transcribed, and fed into a large language model, a personal ChatGPT for your business that can then be queried by the CEO, or that can generate a summary of everything that happened in the company for the CEO, so the CEO doesn't have to attend all those meetings, because that's impossible even today. And I think 10 years is a long time. I think
it will be much sooner as well.
I totally believe that this will become table stakes. This will become the new normal in a few years, because why would you not want to have this information, especially as it gets cheaper?
For example, and as well, you could, for example, implement triggers in that. If there's ever a discussion about a certain topic or a certain department where we're really innovating, I immediately want to get triggered by that, and that kind of feedback loop from the CEO into the company goes way faster. And in the past, it was then they had to wait probably a week, or when they saw that person, or and as well, a lot of information wasn't really kind of even said to that person physically. And now the person can literally, it's like a little Google search about all the information that's happening within the company.
Let's imagine you had an actual physical human person that you paid very well to attend all these meetings and pay attention to them. And again, somehow they managed to be at all the meetings, even if they overlap, let's say. And they have perfect memory, so even better. And you can ask them anything and they remember everything with accuracy. Like, what would that be like if you had a person like that? Well, that's what the software will enable us to have.
I'm going to say something very controversial, but it feels like that kind of technology, or it seems like the perfect CEO, because it knows everything that's happening. So why not at the last step ask it what we should do with the mission, vision, and goals in mind, and then it can give you a perfect answer of, this is the strategy that we should follow to reach our goals. So actually, why do you still need the CEO then? Is this?
You went right there. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point, and I think this works for solved problems. So every situation imaginable, because this AI will have more context than just your company. It will have context about all the successful and failed businesses in the world, potentially. And for solved problems, where there is a clear path, a recipe to solve something, like, for example, hire the best person, or organize a committee, or get rid of X process or employee, the AI will be able to do it. But for new problems, where it doesn't matter that you have all this information, you still need to make a creative choice. There it is again, with humans, what only humans can do. But you need to take it into a direction that's not obvious, that's not rational, that's not just extrapolating on existing data. That's not going from 1 to 10, but from 0 to 1. Making something, an unexpected call, a non-obvious call, that's what founders do. That's what good executives do. There you will need the human.
Yeah.
So in short, for solve problems, give it to the AI. But for new creative endeavors, the human is still has to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, because it's kind of the large language model gives you a answer based on all the data it's trained on. So it's still not completely unique.
Yeah.
In a way. So yeah, that's a.
It's always somehow it's been fed with examples, and so it only works for cases that have happened before. But if something is happening for the first time, and again, you have to see the environment as dynamic and changing. It's never, maybe this is a better way to frame this. It's never the exact same environment. It's never the exact same scenario. So there's always a difference. So it will be able to do the right thing, make the right call for a few weeks or a few years. But at some point, the environment will change. For example, just like Google thought people will keep having to use search. At some point, something changes, and then the AI has no example, has no idea.
Well, speaking of exact same scenarios, there's as well another thing that a lot of people hate is actually the FAQ page, so the frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And over there are questions that are usually based on scenarios that the people think are added. How do you think this kind of technology will maybe put this FAQ hate of, because always people have a question about a certain software or a company, they put it into Google or the FAQ, and 99% of the time they don't find it.
Yeah, if you're lucky, there's a forum entry. But I'm also mostly disappointed with frequently asked questions and their answers, because my question is never there. And the reason that there's only a finite amount of questions on the page is obvious. You have to think about every possible user, every possible situation up front.
And it very quickly becomes exponential.
That's just not. That used to be an unsolved problem, but now we have functioning chatbots for the first time, and for the first time we have a system that can not only generate answers for you, just like ChatGPT does, but also generate questions, because it can.
So that is exactly the opposite. People have been using it for questions, but maybe companies can use it as well to kind of question their current...
let's take this back again to the old world. Let's say you're making your FAQ, frequently asked questions page, the old-fashioned way. You start off with 10 basic questions, and then let's say you do everything perfectly. That means every time there's a new customer support request, or somebody calls the company, and their question is not on the FAQ, you put it in there. So this doesn't always happen, but let's say you always do that. Well, then your page will keep growing as your users grow, as they encounter new situations. So there you will have a good FAQ page, the more users that you have. So with 1,000 users, more questions, 1 million users, okay, it's pretty robust. But let's say you didn't have to do that. Let's say the AI can say, hey, I'm not only this normal user where everything goes well, but I can imagine all different types of people and how they might be missing stuff and be using the software in the wrong way. And so they can emulate this huge audience for you. What would that be like?
It's kind of what we spoke of in one of our previous podcasts, is when you write software, you can't, if you release it to everyone, there will be a lot of bugs and stuff, because you can't predict what all those scenarios are. And here you have kind of a type of software that it still won't find all the scenarios or all the possible ways of people using software, but as well we get very close, because it's initially you can generate so many more scenarios and ways something can break, let's say. And this can be, for example, as well in a lawsuit. Give me all kinds of ways how I would lose this lawsuit.
This is a great way for counter arguments.
Correct, and then that lawyer can prepare for all of them. There still might be, then it'd be good if there's a human lawyer on the other side, because he can be original and do the same. But if the lawyer that doesn't use ChatGPT, probably a couple of his arguments will be in that list that was generated by the large language model. So yeah,
What an insane tool! Not only to try to validate your idea, but also try to break it, find holes in your story. You can even imagine a criminal that's preparing his alibi for the police. This criminal could just have 100 police interviews and have an AI of 10 different police officers try to poke holes in his story, trying to make him break. And after his 100 fake mock interviews, he would be ready to confront the real police and be super prepared. So imagine that.
Because there's as well a kind of a symbolism, and I think it's called, you told me it once, it's like steelman and strawman.
Yeah. So let's define this. When people ask you, please steelman this for me, they mean make the strongest case that you can. Try to find all the arguments for this position as if you were in the debate club, and you were arguing for a certain side or the lawyer. And then the opposite of that is strawmanning. That's usually what you do with your opponent's points, is you try to, again, break them, see if there's something wrong or inconsistent with them. But to prepare for anything like pitches, also startup pitches, you want to try to see how robust your story is and try to upfront figure out what people could point out. That's
so then strawman. If you have a pitch, you should strawman yourself, or
yes, the best. That's also how you can see that somebody is intellectually honest and not just following a certain ideology, is if they question their beliefs and also try to put themselves in the position of the other side. So let's say a political or religious debate, like why could this person be feeling this way? Why could they be defending this position? And so you're basically taking your own personal choices or preferences out of it, just trying to make the best case for both, and then trying to also destroy.
Wow. Yeah, to destroy the argument or the
or find inconsistencies.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's very philosophical, and I think that will help the world as well a lot. For example, if every person should strawman as well, kind of all the other ways other people think about certain things, and it will kind of make people more understand the other's position. But I wanted to say that this is actually very good in a startup case, because you always have to question everything, and as well all your weakest links, why people wouldn't use your service or your product. So even I think for startups, that's a really I would say go to ChatGPT, describe what your offering is in product and service, and ask them how would my startup fail, or
what am I missing?
What am I missing?
Why is this going to break in 10 years? All this input is welcome. And another approach, a tactic or strategy that I use in daily life is borrowed from Mark Andreessen. He has this framework, this very simple mental model, and it's strong opinions, weakly held.
Okay.
That means that every occasion he gets, he will express whatever he believes at that moment, or whatever assumptions he has, in a strong way. So very explicitly.
Very confident.
Yeah, confidently. But he's not personally, emotionally invested in them. It's not linked to his identity, because that's the definition of somebody.
Where it's very hardly linked.
Yeah, it's not linked. He does that in order to get feedback quickly. And because he wants it to be battle tested, he wants people to question it and try to break it. And that's the key point, is weakly held. He can change it. But if you keep doing that, if you keep saying every day, and you don't have to be consistent, you can change your mind. Every day, what you believe about a certain thing to everybody, like if something's wrong with it, they will point it out at some point.
Correct. And over time, I feel like you have more and more interactions, and the certain strong opinions which were leakly linked or
weakly held.
Sorry. The ones that constantly people are how I say it, saying that's true, or how I say it, not falsifying, but confirming that that's true. Those opinions will become more and more important and more real, and the ones that are weakly held, these will be constantly swapped by new ideas and new opinions, and this is kind of a very strong iteration process over opinions that are true and opinions that are sometimes very not true.
Yes, because the biggest trap for an entrepreneur and a person in their daily life is self-deception. So what are the things that are in reality in a certain way, but you don't want to see it because your identity is linked with it. It's just important for your worldview and for your self-image, for the idea of the person that you are. So you discard it. But if you don't, if you see the world as it is objectively, then you can get somewhere.
Well, I would end this episode with a nice quote that I learned from you: is assumptions are the mother of all fuck-ups. So
that's definitely true.
That's definitely true in everything in life. Always don't assume everything, but question everything that's going on. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode of the Unquestioned podcast, where we talked about what David Sachs says and how ChatGPT will change how business will be recorded, transcribed, and fed into a model, but as well what Steelman and Strawman terms are. And as well, kind of hopefully what the future of frequently asked questions tabs will be gone, will be a thing of the past, and we'll all interact with a very, very smart assistant that will help us with our problems, even if they haven't occurred yet. So thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like this podcast and this episode, and give us some feedback. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Unquestioned podcast.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.